the year, or those are historical liabilities? Let's make that. Let's have that distinction.
Thank you, Chair. The 1.3 relates to an historical liability.
So they are historical, because if there are additions for the year, then we shouldn't have a problem. So how did you exhume 1.3 billion worth of pending bills and recognize them as payable? I think that's the question that you must answer, and not the Auditor General.
Yeah.
Senator Ombua.
Listening to the governor, I'm left wondering whether then he is disputing this figure. He's saying that he doesn't know about this figure, because even in his responses, he actually doesn't even make an attempt to try and give a breakdown of that figure of 1.3 billion. It's just a statement that he gives. So, Governor, are you disputing that? Are you saying that that figure does not belong to you? It is the work of the Office of the Auditor General?
Can we consolidate the question so that we are a bit efficient? Senator Cherargei?
Yeah, I find the governor's management response, although you have called it composition, confusing, because in one aspect he says there was issue of reconciliation challenges, incomplete supporting documentation, limitation associated with cash basis reporting. Then on the second paragraph he said, upon subsequent verification, reconciliation, and confirmation of outstanding obligations, then they settle valid liabilities. So, Governor, if you are disputing 1.3 billion as being manufactured, or let me not use the word manufacture, it doesn't sit well with you, or being cooked, the 1.3 you are talking about, what was the justification in your second paragraph? That would be question number one. Number two, Governor, through the chair, looking at under 1 year on this 1.3 billion that has been cooked, it's 38%. Looking at over 3 years, it's 1.7 billion, 48%. Looking at aging analysis in note number 17, and it is good you are an FCPA, you have accumulated 52% of the pending bill of 3.5 billion. There is an exponential growth under 1 year of 38%. That is the one we are talking about, 1.3 billion. So in this 1.3 billion, that is, let me look your years that you have been in office, between 2 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years, and 1.5 years. This is 52% of 3.5 billion. This exponential growth makes us believe that this account payables trade and other payables was cooked. Number three, and finally, you have said verification. What was, and you have the people who had LSO and other justifiable that was not captured, and you are an FCPA, you know, non-disclosure of such in your financial statement is grave. So when you say verification, did you gazette a verification committee? Is there a report that that committee went through the chair? Is there a committee that sat? And where is that report that can attach to verification in terms of this 1.3 billion? And I want to agree with Senator Wabua that even in response of governor, he has not attached to break down to show that 1.3 billion chair. Unless what the governor is requesting, in conclusion, that will be my final question, is a forensic audit with a view of prosecution. Because if he's demanding an audit, it should be forensic. Because if it is cooked, then that 1.3 billion under 1 year is very serious. So, Chair, that will be my three questions.
So I think Senator Cherargei has done a comprehensive analysis of Note 17, which has the aging as well. But we might lose the point on the 1.3, the additional liabilities that were undisclosed. So Governor, maybe just start by restricting yourself to the 1.3. We have no visibility in your response on the process that you undertook to certify the 1.3. I think that is what is missing. That is what you didn't explain. Give us that explanation so that we can expunge the impression of manufacturing from our minds. Just start with the 1.3 billion. Run us through that process.
Chair, the list of... Is this part of the documentation? Where is it? Yes, in the financial statement. the list of the 1.3 is part of the financial statements, and it's listed item by item. Item by item. This is, and it shows what it is. It is not in note 17. So, and
No, note 17 is a summary. Note 17 is just the aging, your summarized reporting.
in the financial statements.
You see, Governor, just to help you, in the cash basis reporting, you used to attach the list of pending bills. When we went to accrual, we stopped attaching it. So I think your officers should guide you properly. Note 17 is a summary, is a summation, which also has a problem because the aging of staff payables has not been done, and we'll be coming to that. Okay, proceed.
Chair, and we can provide the listing of what makes up the 1.3. I've just been given here. So I don't know whether the auditor has that, of what has the 1.3. And I want to put it on record that none of this is fictitious because they are itemized. It says what it is, and mostly it's actually developmental. It's largely construction and ECD classrooms, toilets, wherever. And these are things that can be verified. So, and I am not...
Would you like to just help us understand the process? Because in prior year, you disowned them, the 1.3. And in this year, you are saying, okay, we shall pay. It's the process that I think we could start with, because the details of the listing really is your purview as a CEO.
Now, the process is, let me spread this, I mean, because there's also the question of the current one that Senator Chergey raised. With respect to an historical, let me put that into perspective, historical pending bills, because of the situation of the record keeping and that nothing agreed to nothing, we decided that we'll take all those reports, isolate what is verifiable, and only pay what is verified. When we go and see this classroom was indeed done in that period between 18 to 22, but it was not paid, this is what we pay. You know,
Chair, on a matter of procedure, I wish when the governor is reading, we are on the same page. So we are just listening to him. Is there a document so that we can...
Okay. Governor, if there is a document or an annexure we can refer to, you can point us.
I thought I started by saying we have the list, and the auditor also verified that he has the list of the 1.3, and we can provide that to Senator.
Do we have it anywhere here?
We have it.
It's not in it's in the annexure of the financial statement, because the report we are doing is
no, Governor. Under accrual, you guys didn't attach that list. You used to attach it under cash, so it's not there. What's there? Note 17 is a summation, and I think it's fair if it's not here just to say that you shall provide it, so that it's not protracted.
Chair, I've just seen from
Chair.
I've just seen in our WhatsApp page an Excel document has been shared by the auditor containing the list of 1.3.
No, honourable members, let's not refer to all those extraneous things. Governor, the major concern, even before we come to the composition,
I was explaining the process.
Is the process.
I was explaining the process.
Please.
With respect to the historical pending bills, because of the situation of incomplete records that we inherited, and all these attempts by the Auditor General, by the Assumption Office Committee, and by the independent consultant that we hired, we brought together everything that they said, because each of them was also coming with a lot of caveats to say we were unable to whatever. And in some of those years, if you go back, there are actually disclaimers on the audit opinion. So what we then decided to do is to deal, because it was both ways. There were people who were claiming things that weren't done, and there were things that were done which were not in any report. So we decided, and we made this public, that we will pay what is verifiable. And the list of the 1.3 is what we've paid that is verifiable. The auditor has said he has. If Senate doesn't have, we are willing to provide. And I'm even willing further to say if there is any of that that is believed to be manufactured, it will be subjected to further audit process to ensure there's verification.
Governor,
because for us, we paid what we verified.
Just for clarification,
Yeah.
you've made a statement that we must understand properly.
Yeah.
Is a 1.3 billion paid or payable?
Payable.
Because you say paid.
Payable.
Yeah.
Payable.
And again,
Yeah.
our problem is not even in the payment. Our problem is lack of recognition in prior year, and then all of a sudden you have a 1.3 billion bill.
I think
I don't know whether we have understood the process as explained by the
I have
governor.
gotten even further confused
Senator Sifuna?
because the governor is saying, I don't know when that process began, Governor. When did the process of looking? You basically went out to hunt for bills because you're saying you got into office, there are no records. Then you make an announcement that we are looking for people who we might owe money. Is that the story? When did that process begin?
And Senator, let me explain what happened.
Start with when the process began. Which year?
It began immediately we came into office, but it took quite some time.
That's 2022.
2022. Right?
Yes.
So what we did is we first took what is available. We looked at the financials. What was disclosed in the financials?
So just there,
Yeah.
there is where you are losing me,
Yes.
Governor.
Yes.
So there was something
Yes.
in the financials.
Yes.
How come the auditor is saying there was no such thing? Because in the prior years we should have seen some amounts, but we have a situation where from 2022 up to now, out of nowhere, we are hit with 1.3 billion.
No, I think that we do
Isn't
not
that
agree
the
with
case,
that
Chair?
contention.
Yeah, that's the
That's what we
case.
don't agree with.
No, that's what is before us, Governor. We are able to interpret the report of the Auditor General and also your financial statements.
And Chair, let me put this in this way and allow me time to explain this process. Number one, there was
How
a
much
figure.
time do we have to explain all these things? Really?
Okay.
Surely.
Did you want
Because, Chair,
to make an interjection?
yes, I want to.
Okay, let's take the question from
Because,
Senator Wangua
Chair,
so that you factored it in your explanation.
First of all, and the governor surely must know this better than me, better than all of us. He is an accomplished accountant. If a disclosure has not been made, and it forms the basis of an audit query, as a responsible government, as an accountant, the thing that you do is to provide detailed explanation in terms of financials, not pros, not saying this is what we are doing, this is what we did. Now, I hear the governor and the office of the Auditor General are talking about a document that is supposed to explain this query, which document we don't have. Yeah. How are we supposed to process that query?
Chair, just so
Senator
that
Chiradke?
Governor can come clean. I have heard him alluding that when they came to office, they assessed these trade payables and it is historical. But when you look at aging analysis, there is an over 3 years, which I believe is historical of 1.7 billion.
Yeah.
So he's confusing us further by saying he's referring to historical, yet we have 1.7 already. Yet under this, under 1 year is 1.3 billion. So, Chair, the governor should assist us by being very clear in this between 1.7 and 1.3, because that breakdown, we want to arrive at 1.3 billion so that we remove the assertion that it was manufactured. And Chair, when you look even at the schedule, I don't know what you people drink in Wajir. He was spending in food and drinks of 6.5 million. For me, it looks like they were going to fish and telling hotel how much did we drink. Tulukunywa chai na mandazi, nini, 6.5. If you look at that schedule, it looks, it had been, they went hunting as what Senator Sifuna for these bills. If you look at the schedule.
So in the, Governor, in the absence of a detailed explanation, the senators are not wrong to speculate. And so let's give the governor an opportunity to explain. If there is need for documentary evidence to support his explanation, we can give those directions. But we are all interested in finding out how 1.3 billion just dropped from the skies. Was it some pensions that hadn't been paid or some gratuities that, all of a sudden came to your attention? Please help us understand that.
Chair, I think we're mixing issues here. So let me first of all separate two things, because Senator Cherargei has also talked about bills of less than 1 year. Matters of less than 1 year have to do with cut-off issues. We are in June now, for instance. We have incurred commitments. We have not received the money for May and June. Even if we receive it before midnight of 30th of June, chances are that by the time the system is closed, some of that money will not have been utilized. So those are just timing issues from 1 year to the other with respect to the payables that are within the 1 year.
And I
What
don't
I'm
think
trying to address,
we don't have a problem with that.
what I'm trying to address
Let's deal with the 1.3.
is 1.3, which is under the note on the accounts payable, and which the auditor has clarified he has the listings, the detailed listings that add to that 1.3. And we're saying those are the historical, verified physical structures which we decided to pay on account of the incompleteness of the record that we inherited. And that the records were incomplete.
Okay, let's give him 1 minute to
Chair,
finish.
Chair,
No,
on that schedule,
Can I just finish,
just a
Senator,
minute,
please?
Governor, because we
Oh,
want to follow-
I might lose my thought.
we want to follow what you're saying. On
Okay,
that schedule,
Governor,
which has
just give it a moment.
That schedule that has been shared,
Yes.
does it have a column for us to understand when these invoices were incurred? Is there a column to show us that this is from 2021 or 2022?
It has. Yes, it
Which
has.
column is that? Because the one that has, I'm using Cherargei's very expensive phone, Chair. Is,
Because I'm the government, so you can imagine.
No,
if I break it.
I know the county can disown anything that is coming from Cherargei's gadget, so you'd
If I
rather use your own
If
phone.
I use my own phone, they will accuse me of being manufacturing. So, Governor, which column here shows me when these bills were actually incurred, so that I know it is historical? Because the dates I'm seeing is there's a column there that says just 1 minute payment date, and Honourable Chair, they are all from 2024, 2025. So that when you tell us it's historical,
Senator, you have raised a very valid and important point, but let's not lose the question on process, on who is it who decided that this 1.3 billion should. Yes, because on the face of it, as I said, that's $10 million, 1.3 billion. So we need to allay that fear. So Governor, I don't know, you are not very detailed on the process. Is it your finance officer who said, Governor, all of a sudden we've got this 1.3 billion, let's pay? Was it a task force? Was it internal audit? Was it Auditor General? And obviously, Auditor General cannot be part of that.
Yeah.
So what was the process? What was the decision-making process to recognize the 1.3 billion as payables?
It was a multi-departmental committee that now had to receive all the reports. And every department again was told, can you then physically go and check what in every locality is a physical item that has not been paid or is being claimed. They went with the report physically.
Chair, you'll accuse me of being impatient, but anybody would get impatient with this, honestly, because if it's a committee, then that was said. I'm saying this issue, even a memo that sets up that committee and say, the governor, because this is a very material audit query. You should have come here and told us, on this date, the departments were told to have a multi-agency, whatever, meeting to forward the claims in their departments with any documentation that's available. And after that, this is what the meeting followed, this is what we got. The minutes of the meetings, finally, it was decided from this department, 5 million. From this department, 20 million. From this department, 30 million. Cumulatively, 1.3 billion. That's what we did. Chair, anything short of that is just
Okay,
stories.
so let's, maybe we have different ways of contextualizing things.
Chair,
But
Chair, let me say
Governor, Senator Lelegwe has a query which might be beneficial so that you can consolidate everything.
Just when I go through the Excel sheet provided to the auditor, there is a more suspicious figure of a repeated 60 entries of an amount of 1,399,000 amounting to 83 million. A similar figure for 60 entries.
And that's a risk of looking at reports that have not been tabled under oath.
That amounts to about 83.9 million.
Can you, Governor, can I help you? Can you go back to the process
Chair,
before you go to the content?
let me, I think here the problem is that I'm not even being allowed to say what I want to say up to the end.
I have given you the floor.
Chair, I have said, with respect to the historical, and by the way, we provided even the report of the consultants to the auditor and to Senate, and we'll bring the evidence that we actually sent all those reports to Senate when all those reports were done. Every single report that was done, we provided to Senate, we provided to EACC, we provided to the Controller of Budget, and we'll send to this committee all the forwarding letters and the proof that they were received in the Senate. Because of the situation we were in, and we were under a lot of pressure from the public to pay pending bills, we had to go for what was verifiable. Senator Lelegwe, it's not unusual to find one figure if you're doing the same things. For instance, if it's one classroom, chances are that the classroom will be awarded for the same amount across. If it's toilets, probably the same amount across. And this is what I'm saying. Because this is a note, and there's a listing attached to it, we interrogate that listing, and we physically verify those. We physically verify when they were done. I have no problem with that. And I think that's what I would have expected the auditors to do. But as to why we were bringing it in, because nothing agreed. The figure that was brought forward in the financials even if it's through a memorandum record recognized payable, did not agree with the investigation report by the by the Auditor General on pending payables, did not agree with the assumption of report office, and did not agree with what the consultant did. And it was, Chair, I'll give you an example. In the assumption of office report, there was 600 million, I can't remember the exact figure, relating to things of physical nature which were not physically on the ground, including boreholes, including classrooms, including fencing of hospitals, but which the committee of the consultants working with the one that we established, because they still had to work with our people to go around, could not actually see. There are villages we went to where we were told there were classrooms, and you go to that village and you find the kids are in under trees. Yet the assumption of report said there were classrooms in there. And this is why we decided we'll only pay what was verified. So this is the situation. And I remember, Chair, we had these conversations about Wajir pending bills in the first committee of PAC. So this is what I'm dealing with. As to what is current, Chair, there is no problem. It's just a timing issue. Whatever we carry forward, because sometimes it's also multi-year projects, which is not paid by 30th of June, when we get our money and the system opens, we pay. And we track our commitments. I'll give you an example, Chair. One of the things we are struggling with is to pay statutory payables carried forward, which was not done for 25 months within that period. We have paid our statutory reductions every single month under the current regime. But when you're left with 9 billion, 7 billion, 6 billion pending bills left, right, and center, Even my entire development budget, after I paid salaries, cannot cover that in 5 years. And this is why there's a conversation between Senate and National Treasury on those, for instance, statutory liabilities. Because statutory liabilities is very easy to verify. There can be no fictitious statutory liabilities. People deducted people's money and never remitted for 25 months. I have no way of making that up unless all I'll be doing is to pay what was left by the past regime and I don't provide services. This is the situation.
Governor, I have a separate query on statutory remittances of 732 million. We'll deal with it because it's a big thing that applies to all counties. We cannot leave the 1.3 billion until we are sure of the process. And I thought that you were going to tell us that there are minutes, there are reports which can be provided. Because
we will provide all the minutes, all the constitution of the committees, all the reports of every team that looked into the payables.
The problem is this. When we sat at the first meeting, when you came back to office, the issue of ghost pending bills was big. In fact, many of us here sat through the impeachment proceedings of the former governor of Wajir. And many of the allegations were to do with pending bills and financial impropriety, interest management, etc. We have that background. And what we have expected you to do in your administration is to write down, to verify and get rid of fake bills progressively. So 2022, 2023, you had a huge stock. I don't know whether it was 5 billion or 7 billion, whatever it was. 2023, 2024, your accountants certified a figure as being the accounts payables. Then 2024, 2025, the same accountants and heads of departments tell you, sorry, to Achane na ile last year, we have 1.3 billion more to pay. That is where the problem is. If in 2023, 2024, the roads department said that their pending bills were 500 million, and then it was certified and the CPS put their signatures on this report, how do they come again next year and tell you, no, it wasn't 500, it is now 800? You see, that's the problem. That's the problem. And if it's done through internal mechanisms, it can result in rigging of bills. It can result in manufacturing of bills. So we need to get clarity on that process. All of us here sometimes get petitions from members of the public. Our bills are not being paid. But our position is clear. If the bill is verified and the county government has agreed to it, it should be paid. It is fairly unusual to see a growth in historical pending bills. The general trend is a reduction because you are doing verification and you are dismissing those things that you are talking about that were said to be on the ground and yet they were not there. So that is why we have spent a little bit of time here, because it is an unusual trend where it is going up. And I know that in our first conversation, you were concerned that it was too high. So I don't know how it hit, the curve started going up rather than going down.
Chair, I fully agree with you, but it depends on what you started from. If you are starting from the assumption of office report, and what we have verified as payable is 1.3, it's still come down. It's just that the financial statements of the auditor did not fully capture all the pending payables, number one. The assumption of office report, on the other hand...
Sorry again, Governor.
Yeah.
You refer to a report of the auditor?
The inherited financial statements had a much lower number than what was being claimed.
That's 21-22.
21-22.
21-22.
Yes. And the process took quite some time, to get a final report.
So 22-23, you disclosed the liabilities went up.
The liabilities went up. Went up.
Okay.
But still much lower than what was in the assumption of office report. So we, in a sense, picked all those reports and just picked what was of physical nature and decided to constitute those as what is payable. Frankly, that's what it is, basically. Because what was being demanded was much higher. And it cut both ways. I gave you the example of the 600 million of things that are of verifiable nature, which were in the assumption of office report, but which are not on the ground. But also, even within Wajir town, there were offices, for instance, constructed for departments, which the suppliers were coming to knock on my door to say, ofisi yangu inatumika, na sijalipwa, but was not in any report.
Okay.
We had polytechnics that were in use, but were not in any report. So we had to work both ways.
Fine. Governor,
And that's why we decided to
I
stick.
think you have emphasized it.
Yeah.
You have emphasized it. Senator Ogua, you are a professional scribe. How would you summarize this conversation?
I think, Chair, I would just simply say Kizungu mingi.
What would be the headline?
A lot of English. Just a lot of English. You know why, Chair?
And he used to work with standard.
Even just what Senator Leregwe has mentioned there, on the 1.3 million, 60 entries. 60 entries of 1.3 million. You know, what would I expect the governor to do is not to give us a theory. Just to say that 1.3 million,
Where are those 60?
the 60 entries is a classroom or toilets or whatever it is. I mean, Chair, I also went to school in the US. And at some point when things get a little muddled up, we will say it is what it is. That's where I'll leave it.
Chair, can I propose
Senator Cherarki?
even as you direct the governor to provide further information, we must be specific. I think that is what Senator Wambua said. So that when you say access roads, is it in Wajir North, Wajir South, is it in Wajir Town or Eldas? And also, I've seen one interesting medical insurance of 322 million.1. What it attached to? Which are these companies? Was it for the staff? Chair, the issue of gifts, food and drinks of 6.5 million to some grand oases. The entries, 6.5 million on food and drinks and gifts.
No, I think, Chair, that's not in the list of the 1.3. That's not in the list of the 1.3.
Order, Governor.
Yeah.
You might want to ask what is reading before you dismiss.
Yeah. This is the schedule you just provided. Governor, are you running away from your documents again? Are you running away?
Is that 1.3?
So that we know how to deal with it.
That is a schedule that was
That
provided to
is
the
the
auditor.
schedule that was even
and,
provided by the
circulated.
auditor.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just confirming.
Yes,
Okay,
it is
Senator, go
entries,
ahead,
yes.
Go ahead, Senator, go ahead.
I can confirm that it is the same on this opposition phone, the same as the one.
But your phone looks cheap. So
Can we try Mwaruma's phone?
Let's try one.
See whether the results will be the same.
That's a
bit more
techno.
neutral. But Chair, there's a question the governor
That's a
didn't
techno
answer.
one.
There's a question the governor didn't answer.
Yes, Senator
On
Sifuna.
that same schedule. Now he wants to run away from his schedule, but Governor, you needed to answer whether on that schedule you provided, I can tell which date that amount was incurred. Is there a column that refers to any time?
Senator, there's through the chair, there's a column for the financial year.
Where is that?
It says,
Which column is that?
It doesn't refer. It's just about payment date.
It's his document. You know, if you read yours, he will run away from it. Let him read his own document.
and there is a date that there's a column that says payment date.
Yes, that is the only one that has dates, Governor.
Payment date.
Yes.
So those are actual settlements,
Yeah.
not liabilities.
So how do you know, Governor, that this is a historical thing because you said you started in 2022? If you just went with that first one there, advertising, awareness and publicity campaigns, it says 2024, 2025. Is that when it was incurred?
You know, the dot shown here is the payment date because, I mean, is the date in which it was incurred, not the payment date. But
So, Governor,
because
you
this was
agree with me then that this
2024,
is not historical date?
Actually,
these are largely historical.
This is a payment list.
That's 2024.
That's why I asked the question whether this is a list of invoice says paid or payable. But it appears they are paid because there's a payment date, the 1.3.
You know, Chair, at the time of the audit, it was payable, but now it's been paid. You know, because the audit itself happened. We're talking of 2024.
So the 1.3 billion,
were
the
paid by now.
1.3 billion
Yeah.
that was exhumed
Yes.
has been paid fully.
Partly paid.
But this schedule totals to 1.3.
Yes, partly paid, because every year we provide an amount for pending bills and then tick off from this list. So we can reconcile to say what has been paid and what's not
Just
been paid.
Governor, for clarity.
Again, Judge.
For clarity.
Again, just 1 minute, because on that point.
As of
Then
today,
if it is-
partly paid.
If it is partly paid, then again, Governor, the easiest thing would have been for you to tell us, these are already paid and these are not paid.
But my question has not been answered.
Right.
You have provided me a document that cannot help me understand that process that you spoke about. I should be able to know that first item there, instead of telling me you've paid it or when you paid it, when was it incurred is more important in the conversation we were having, because you say these things are historical. And Governor, you know, you are a CPA, I'm a lawyer. The word historical should mean the same to both of us.
Yes.
Yeah, so the documents that you should provide is to show us, for instance, you talked about classrooms that had been built that have not been paid for. You should say, this classroom at this place was built in 2019 and it has never been paid for. We are paying for it in 2022, 2023. That's what I expect from a CPA.
Senator, I hear you and I agree. We have provided this to the auditors and all this was provided. But, Chair, I am okay to go back to this and give further data on when incurred, whether paid, whether not paid, and
the process.
And the process.
And the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we will not be unfair if we reach the conclusion that these are manufactured in the absence of clarity on the process.
Chair, to me, this schedule says the wording there, payment date. To me, this 1.3 billion has been paid as per this schedule, unless the governor would want to withdraw this document. Because it says payment date. So the English I know is that, the English I know of a lawyer, of a church elder, or a bishop like my brother here, is payment date has been 1.3 billion. So, Governor, are you withdrawing your own document to get us a better document? Because you have now introduced another angle, it is partly paid. Because we don't want to imagine that this was a payment error, the payment of error. Because looking at most of these issues, there is no specificity. Somebody from Wajir, wherever they come from, Wajir North or South, or even Wajir County, if I tell them county has paid money for access roads to this amount, where do they attach? Because I'm happy you said you did a social audit. You send people on the ground. So when you say access roads, which road from point A to B that was done with how much, how many kilometers, all those, Chair, if they are missing, I might want to associate yourself on the issue of either manufacturing or cooking, whichever you want to go home with.
No, Senator Cherge, you are doing very well until you get there.
Order, Governor.
You are not.
Governor, order.
You are not in charge of
Order.
this meeting.
Order. We were doing very well until Governor took the microphone.
Correct.
So.
And my advice, he should switch off his microphone. It is safer not to talk.
Okay. Members, we have done very well so far, so let's not lose it. I think let's round up this matter so that we are clear on what we expect from the governor, and then we can deal with other issues. Senator Lelegwe.
Chair, I disagree with the governor's response in my query when I asked him about the 1.399 million figure. You said it is a classroom, and when you build a classroom in Wajir, there is a possibility that you will have the same figure. But now, if you see the list of those people that have been paid, or the companies that have been paid, are 60 different companies. So how can 60 different people quote the same figure, 1,399,400? 60 times.
And again, to add on that, the cost of doing a classroom, the farthest end of Wajir cannot be the same cost of doing a classroom in Wajir town.
You see, members, we are querying this schedule and giving the impression or assumption that the process was okay. If the process was not proper, then even the discussion on the contents of that list stands on very shaky ground. So we must first establish that process.
Yeah, to help answer Senator Lelegwe's question, Senator Lelegwe, first of all, you have to appreciate that these were awarded by the previous regime. So if they decided they are going to award every classroom for 1.399, regardless of where it is, but for me, I have decided to pay the classroom because it's verifiable. I just have to live with that. And it was not unusual for them to use one number for all dispensaries, one number for all classrooms. And there are places where we even questioned and said, yeah, this thing is physically verifiable, but the amount being quoted does not really make sense. So the ones that we thought the cost was reasonable in light of the scenario we were facing are the ones that we decided to include in what is payable. So it was usual in that regime to say 10 dispensaries, each at 3.8. As you say, the procurement process, if done objectively, should have had certain differences. But here you are. You have the classroom, you are seeing it. And by the way, in certain cases, Senator, for you to understand this, there are cases where the public have threatened to close the classroom. There are others where they've gone to court and the court asked us to pay. And this is why I want to improve that list with a lot more details, not to disown it, as Senator Chergai says, but provide more details as to those things. Yeah.
Okay, Senator Sifuna, hopefully you are giving us a way forward.
Before we depart from that note 17, I'm just wondering if there's another audit query there. But Governor, what is that item number 2 there? Or under use of goods? Yeah. Yeah, what is that? At note 17 of the financials.
That ought to be property, plant, and equipment.
No, I think I want him to tell us, Chair.
Yeah,
Because
Governor?
you know we have discovered that words mean differently to different people.
Yeah, Governor? Actually, why can't it be? What was that thing used during COVID?
That's why I want him to be the one to say it, Chair.
Yeah, so I withdraw my definition. Let's get the governor's definition of that PPE.
Note 17.
Governor, you are the CEO, and you had the notes before you. I just want to know what it means. The financials. Not the financials. Oh. It's on page 26, officer. There's an item there for 2,179,000,000. Yes. What is that second item on the column there? It's page 26, note number 17.
Nobody knows what this is.
So I think that PPE, Senator, is property, plant, and equipment. So it's 2.179 billion.
How is it wasn't in the previous statement? Previous year's financials.
This is the first year of a whole account. Previously, we were in cash.
Just use the mic, please.
And Senator, because in the previous year, there was a need to put this in the financials in that sense because we were on cash basis accounting.
Okay. No, that's not the answer, Governor. That figure is part of the 1.3 that the auditor is querying. That was not there in prior year. So
That is why,
your
Chair,
explanation is only half of it.
I thought that they could be related, those two.
Auditor General?
Thank you, Chair. The reporting template for the 2024-2025 and allowed the first-time adopters of the accrual to take some advantage. But they are also,
Auditor, go straight to the issue.
yeah, that's why I'm saying
The 2.17 billion that Senator Sifuna is saying was zero prior year.
so there
Is it part of the 1.3 that
No,
you're saying
no,
was not,
it is not.
disclosed?
It is not.
Okay, so where is it coming from?
It is not for the, I think for the bring the
Chair,
And Auditor, remember you are not the preparer of this financial statement, so you can just comment on
I wanted to
matters of
assist the
standards.
understanding. I wanted to assist
Yeah,
the understanding.
rather than the completeness of numbers.
Chair, the 1.3 actually, because that note on payables is everything, whether historical or recurrent. So the 1.3 is indeed part of that.
Yeah, so Auditor, I think let's leave it there because we'll start contradicting ourselves. So it's part of that 1.3
Yeah.
that the auditor said was not disclosed. And Senator Sifuna, you asked whether there were other audit queries on that note. Indeed, there is one. Let's go straight to it. Then we will give general recommendations on trade payables and remitted statutory and employee benefit deductions.
Chair, maybe with your indulgence, you didn't give direction on 1.3 billion.
No,
Because,
since it's all part of Note 17,
Yes.
we look at the statutory deductions.
Then you rule on the
Then
same.
we give a global advice. Auditor General, you could read your finding on pension, statutory and employees' benefits deductions, a figure of 732 million, which is included in Note 17. It's under the report on lawfulness, and in the original certificate, it's issue number 6, unremitted statutory and employee benefit deductions. And if you go back to Note 17, you'll see the social security benefits and employee payables.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Unremitted statutory and employees' benefits deductions. The statement of financial position reflects trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 3 billion 586,633,121, and as disclosed in Note 17 to the financial statement, including the balance is an amount of Kenya shillings 732,615,329 in respect of unremitted statutory deductions to the National Social Security Fund and employees' contribution to local authorities, pension trusts, and local authorities' provident fund, some dating back to 2014-2015 financial year as detailed below. So you have the table there. This is contrary to section 19.
Harry, it's important just to read the components and the amounts. Okay. It's not too long.
Okay, you have the component and the amount. First, the component is basic salary, civil service. This is, I think it belongs to SACCOs of 75,778,665. Then you have employer contribution to staff pension scheme of 535,904,297. Then we have employer contributions to National Social Security Fund of 7,650,480. Then we have graduate civil servants, 113,281,097. Thank you, Chair. This was contrary to Section 19, Subsection 4 of Parliamentary Act Cap 226, which states that an employer who deducts an amount from an employee's remuneration shall pay the amount so deducted in accordance with the term period and other requirements specified in the law, agreement, court order, or arbitration as the case may be. Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Chair, the county government.
Just because we have jumped a few issues, just point us to the page where you're reading your response from.
Page 23. 24.
Page 23.
24.
24 or 23? Okay, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Different pages. Mr. Chairman, the county government encountered disagreements with the pension schemes regarding interest and penalties.
Sorry, Governor. That's page 25.
Yeah.
Page 25.
Yeah, it says 24 on mine, but
Page 25.
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
the county government encountered disagreements with the pension schemes regarding interest and penalties, where the penalties were multiple times higher than the principal amounts. The county continues to engage with the relevant authorities to resolve this dispute in a fair and compliant manner. Steps taken: the county government has already cleared, as part of the statutory liabilities, Kenya shillings 109,167,057 due to KRA, and also 7.6 million for NSF contributions will be paid in the next month. Chair, let me explain this a bit.
Yeah, because I want us to deal with this matter
Chair.
comprehensively, beyond your written response.
Yes, Chair, all this first of all relates to the period 18 to 2022.
Even though the auditor says from 2014, 2015, when you are the first governor of Wajir.
If there's any amount relating to that, I want it to
But just proceed.
but
Just proceed. Yeah.
This these payables relate to 25 months of pensions and gratuities not paid under the period 18 to 22. And it's with Lab Trust and Lab Fund. Now, what both schemes did, and it's part of the disagreement we had, they waited to just before the elections to go to court. They allowed the previous regime to get away with it, and just went to court just before. And so by the time we came in, the matter was in court. We agreed on a few things. We agreed, number one, that we will pay our current statutory reductions on time. And they can confirm, we can confirm here through the auditors to Senate that we're up to date with respect to the current period. As for the previous period, we have been trying to agree on an out-of-court settlement because these are just the principal sums. When you add the penalties and interests, the figures being asked for are actually double, if not more, than this figure. And given also that we have a huge pending bill to the public, it's become a bit hard to create space in our budget to deal with this at one time. Chair, I'm hoping we've advanced quite a lot with CPF, that we'll have an agreement with them in the next 2 weeks, which includes some waiver of some of the penalties, so that then, even as we speak now, I think we have about 70 million shillings that we budgeted for this year to reduce this amount before 30th of June. And then next year we'll provide a bit more. But Chair, to contextualize this, all this money was actually released by the Controller of Budget, and it was deducted from the employees, but never remitted. I do understand that government is in perpetuity, but the financial architecture of counties is such that money is released monthly. So when the money released in a given month is not appropriated for what it was released for, then it constitutes a crisis on the system. When it's not done for 24 months, for 25 months, then it creates a hole. And this is why we've had discussions with Treasury, CS level, together with the pension schemes, because it's not a problem only for us. And I keep reminding even governors as COG chair that this should be happening on our watch now, if there's any governor that's doing this on our watch now. to deal with this historical, because it might not be possible to absorb this in one fiscal, to come with an arrangement where Treasury gives some bonds, for instance, to these pension schemes, especially the ones that can't, for instance, give assets. Nairobi might be able to give land, for instance, which is valuable. Mombasa might be able to give land. And then that is amortized over time from the equitable share. Because it's impossible for me to pay $1.5 billion or $1.6 billion in statutory payables only within my term. Because I'm already struggling with my payroll costs. We're opening up new hospitals. We're recruiting new people. The increase in equitable share, you understand what it is. So, especially for counties that do not generate a lot of on-source revenue, once a hole like this is created, there's a problem. And so, Chair, I am ready for any advice on this, but this is my situation with respect to history.
Yeah, I think the reason why I've given you time is that this is a conversation we have had, I think we have had it in a formal sitting, and we have also had it informally. And we have agreed that there needs to be very special focus on this matter. Because if the control of budget, and Gashanja, you'll advise us, had already approved that expenditure and the money was released, will you approve it again?
No, it can't be approved.
So where will the money come from? That's a crisis now.
Chair, the challenge I have with that argument is, then that argument can also be applied to my other physical pending bills, because all those were released by the controller, but just applied in other ways. So I have a classroom belt, someone given an LSO, kids in the classroom, money already released, but that person not paid, and I didn't inherit money.
Chair.
Okay.
So let me ask this question again.
Senator Maruma, then Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Chair. Are you saying that for the existing pending bills, there are projects whose money were released by the control of budget, but that money was voided and paid for other things? Is that what you're saying, number one? Number two, we need to know, maybe exactly, especially for example, employer contribution to staff pensions scheme, 535,904,297. This is principal plus interest. What is the principal? Is it possible to get that information? What is the principal? Number three, Chair, these are employees, whether they were working between 17 and 22, when you're not governor, their money was released. When they retire, when they go for their pensions, they need their pensions. They will not understand that they were not working, or their money was released but not released to the pension scheme. So are you saying that there's nothing you can do? And if this money was paid for something different, what steps have you done to make sure that those who did that are brought to book? Because we run governments in perpetuity.
Okay, good one. Those three, please take note. Senator Sifuna.
I think, Chair, for me, the problem is the time that it has taken to have these conversations. Governor, you are in your final year of your term. We have your colleagues who have come here and sat there. They are very junior members of the COG, let alone chairman. But they concluded agreements with CPF years ago, where they waived the penalties and some of the interest, and they agreed on a payment schedule where they're paying monthly or annually. So my disappointment in you, especially as the chair of COG, is that you have people within the COG who have done these agreements, and I believe that conversation is the same. And maybe these are the issues that the COG should take leadership on, not these other things that we see you giving directions to governors. So for me, Governor Mutula was here, and he had a document they have signed, and it says it should be a template for all the 47 counties. The stories you have told us, unfortunately, are unsupported. And Governor, you have referred us back to that contentious document of yours. My concern is this. You have 113 million in unpaid gratuity for your public servants. And this is a problem for us in the Senate, because people who left the service may be retired, They have no time for these stories, especially if I was to share this schedule with them and see how much this hotel called the Grand Oasis. What is it, the name?
Grand Oasis.
Yes.
Have you gone back to that schedule?
Yeah, Chair, it's a question of priorities.
Okay.
Yeah, there are people who do not prioritize Mwananchi. If somebody has retired and they are due gratuity, really, those are the people who you should prioritize and not catering services, accommodation, gifts, food and drinks from that schedule that I was referencing,
Yes, 6.5.
which is almost 6 million shillings in tea and mandazi. And you have people who have retired there. They have nothing to eat. So, Governor, it's also a question of priorities. I don't know why you have prioritized KRA because they can freeze your accounts. I suspect that's the reason. But these, yes, these ones from these ones looking for their gratuity. Where can they find you, Governor?
And you see,
Oh, okay.
the governor is confessing that the accounts were frozen, and he should prioritize them. Now, these other guys who have nothing against you, they have no leverage. I mean,
Fine. I believe this is a matter that is important not just for Wajir. So we'll do specific cases, but also try to look for a global solution.
Chair, I've
Senator
seen
Cherokee.
Annex 6. Annex 6. Governor, what did you want to prove with this Annex 6? Because I can see there was a principal amount of 47 million, then there was total accrued interest of 14 million. That was on 10 June 2025. I think it is a payment of 458 million, 137,709.7. That is Annex 6. So is it when the OAG queried about 732 million, 615,329 shillings, is this part of it or it is different? Is 458 trying to offset the 732, or what is the place of this Annex 6 that you are trying to tell us you have paid with the issue of bluff fund? Can we get that distinction, or you are just, and to emphasize, secondly, finally, Chair, is that I thought this issue of statutory deductions, be it KRA, I think, Chair, we had a conversation where we were arguing that if there is late exchequer releases, they should not be penalized by KRA. And I don't know, as the COG Chair, you have had conversation with KRA saying that since there are late exchequer releases, then counties should not and must not be punished over KRA tax penalties. I don't know, as governors, as a governor of Wajir, have you, or was as a COG, have ever sat and agree, because it is unfair that counties get late exchequer releases, then they are penalized KRA. So I think, Chair, Governor, if that one has not been on COG agenda, you can put it next time over our names. I think that would be better. I yield back, Chair.
Okay. And Governor, as you respond, I think there's been some conversation that payroll processing, and particularly statutory deductions, be done at the national level. I think there's some conversation about that. And as a Senate, we are concerned that the minute you hand over your payroll to the national government, you have handed over the counties back. But it was for situations like this, where approvals are granted, money is deducted but not remitted. You might also want to comment on that, but start with the issues raised by Senator Maruma.
Senator Maruma, the 732 is the principal sum. It doesn't include interest and penalties. So whether for gratuity or the 7.6 for NSSF, and that one we I think is being paid now. And this is all for basic, what do you call, principal sums. Number one. Number two.
Sorry, Governor, is that a fact? Because you've got Appendix 6 here, where the principal is far much lower. So do we take that the 732 is principal without interest?
Appendix what?
This one, this figure is for only this general, all of them. This is, but this annexes is only for lab fund.
And
so the 732 is principal without interest?
for everyone, both lab fund and
Without interest?
without interest.
Okay.
And that's where I'm headed. Because Senator Cherokee asked, what am I trying to prove with that schedule, which has the 47 million and the 410? Senator, it's part of the negotiations we're having, which we can't seem to agree on, because the principal sum, for instance, for LAP fund was 47 million, but the interest they were asking for is 410 million. And this matter went to court, and we're in court, and we're saying, for us to be able to prioritize the principal sum, because this was something that was mismanaged, and they also didn't do their part to follow and seek for payments or court process on time, we can't be able to find that money all at one go. That's the point I was trying to make.
Governor, Governor,
Can I just finish?
No, on that point before you get out of it, because it's a conversation we have had. LAP fund is right to demand an interest, because that interest is a return on investment on the pensioners.
Yeah.
So it looks very big, very awkward, but the pensioners also expecting a return on investment on their contributions. So
Right.
you argue against it, then you're arguing against the benefits of your staff. That's a point I wanted to make.
It's a catch-22, Chair, because this money, the controller also has just said that is not going to approve. And by the way, there are even instances where someone was very ill or something, and we tried to pay, and the controller said, no, this was released before, I'm not releasing this money again. So that's where we are, and this is why we're trying to, probably with Senate's help, because there are counties that can absorb big amounts like this. There are others where it will distort everything. And if everything worked, from audit to the system and everything, at that time would be in this situation. I don't want to go there, but this is the reality. What have you done? We agreed, first of all, that we pay on time. We are among the best payers as of today. As for this other matter, we are still negotiating. As I said, even this fiscal year, we have some little money, but we have not reached an agreement on the way forward. We are also engaging on the question of Treasury being able to pay them upfront and try to see if that can be amortized over equitable share for a longer period. So I think I have answered, unless there's a particular question that. So as to the question Senator Sifuna asked, maybe their negotiations were easier. I don't know what their numbers were, and for how long. Because in my case, we've dug a hole for 25 months. Yeah, so probably if it was less, it's easier to deal with. And probably also they don't have these other huge pending bills on assets verifiable and in use. But I think the contention of the controller, that the controller is not going to release it twice, shouldn't really be there, because they are asking us to pay for the physical assets, and even that was also released and misapplied. So
I think where there was a release, there should not be a further approval.
Governor, can you clarify to me if there's ever been an engagement at COG level with the LAP fund?
Yes, we continue to engage. And even I think at the beginning of this month, we have another engagement, I think around the 29th with the LAP fund. We've just had an engagement with CPF where we met in Kwale, discussing this among other things. There are also issues on their side, Chair, which I shouldn't bring, extraneous issues which I shouldn't bring here. Much as the interest they're asking is high, in this country also there's no law on minimum return to employees. So sometimes also, even in the fund's investment, what the employee gets is very small, much smaller than even the penalty interest. So
because of unremitted contributions, because you only invest what you have.
You cannot fault the employees themselves, governors.
Because not the employees. I'm saying the schemes,
the funds,
the funds, in other countries also.
Yeah.
So I think, Chair, on this one, I mean, much as I'm in this situation, I am a believer that you cannot deduct somebody's money and not remit it.
Chair, you know the question that I asked
Governor, actually, that is criminal.
has,
If you ask me, it's actually criminal.
not really been
Oh,
answered.
no, I mean, it's theft. You're stealing from, you're actually stealing from yourself and stealing from the employee.
Chair,
Senator Morauma?
yeah, the question I asked the governor required some empathy. Because if you don't put yourself in the shoes of those people who have retired, you will not prioritize the payment of this money, of gratuity. Some people retire when they are rich. Some retire when they are extremely poor. An ECD teacher retiring, going home, and being told that your money was not remitted, and you know the lady, the man has retired and has some kids in college or even in school who require also assistance. Now, if you say that money was remitted, was not remitted but deducted and not remitted, so there's nothing you can do, you're not being empathetic enough.
And in fact, Chair, this is why I was pushing the question of time. Governor, we have all been in these offices now for 4 years. Yeah, I am very happy, by the way. I'm proud of this committee. I told you when we started, Chair, we resolved the question of penalties for KRA for you. Correct. Because whereas you run around, some of you saying that devolution is working, that the national government has done better than previous administrations, you're up to date with the remittances. It is not true. In private, you come and cry to us that, oh, we are behind 3 months, 2 months remittance. And when we had that conversation...
I don't know that you've paid May salaries. Have you paid May salaries?
He has said himself we are behind 2 months.
Yes.
His salaries, yes.
May, you have
Yes.
paid May.
Yes.
You have received your disbursements for May.
Not yet, but I've paid.
Okay.
You see,
Senator Sifuna?
Regardless of whether receipts are received or not, I have, I pay somewhat. My salary is on time,
So
including the statutory reduction.
So my point was, those people who are watching us at home, who Senator Morauma has described, Governor, in this city, I don't know about Wajir, in this city, if you are unable to pay your rent, they come and lock the door. So you imagine, just 1 month's rent, they remove the mabati from the house and you have to go. Now, you are telling these pensioners that it's an ongoing conversation. 4 years into our term, we're actually going into elections. We've actually started campaigns. I personally have started campaigns. So, what assurance
Point
can we
of
give?
order, Elections Act is very clear on campaign period. So, Senator Sifuna, you might be careful.
Yeah, come and arrest
because
me.
you normally argue.
You
cannot
know
be
where
saying
to find
You
him.
know where to find me.
Okay. There's
You can
no
send
problem.
police to I have already announced my next rally. You can send them there.
Okay.
But Governor, the point I was making is this: that empathy that he spoke about requires that we expedite these processes. If these other pensions have been able to find agreements with some of your colleagues in the council, just get one meeting and agree with these people. What is the way forward? Withdraw those matters from, because the people are suffering, and that was the point.
Actually, on that bit of empathy, Governor, when you left office in 2017, were you and the team you exited with paid your gratuities?
100%.
100%.
Yes. In fact, I needed it. I went and collected my gratuity.
In 2023, the last elections were 2023. 2022, when you returned to office, was the governor and those who were in office in that period, have they been paid their gratuities?
Not yet. And actually,
Why?
and tried to pay, and the controller did not approve, because some of them, I don't want to say who, it's, were in pretty bad situation. And out of empathy, I tried to pay, and the controller said, no, you can't. And Senator Marua, I am the one who's actually arguing.
Morauma, so what would be the challenge? Because you were paid promptly.
Somebody's right. Why would the governor be using empathy to
that
pay?
response is also very suspicious. It's like, I decided, then I said, no, we're not.
No, if he was paid
And
promptly.
Chair, I
No, we
thought
requested, the request was not approved,
Chair,
because
I
for
thought
gratuity,
statutory deductions or employees' issues or statutory deductions are somebody's right. It doesn't depend on empathy. So why is the governor saying empathy?
No, so, Governor,
and we
why-
know very well he didn't leave office. He went for election petition in 2022. So what does he mean? And yet the previous administration paid him on time, but he doesn't want to pay. So the question is, what is the reasoning behind it?
let me clarify that.
Yes,
Chair.
yes,
Let me
Governor.
clarify. First, it's not the previous administration that paid me on time.
You paid yourself.
No. Please just let me explain.
Yeah, please explain.
Because both our pensions and our gratuity were with the fund administrators in my time. I made sure that I remitted the funds to the fund administrators. I did not have to talk to my successor to get my money. I walked over to CPF and I collected my money because my administration rather had been remitting. Now, here we have a situation where the administration that was in office was not remitting the funds for 25 months, not remit funds for 25 months to the fund administrators.
But deducted.
And Senator Marua, why I was clarifying this, it is not me who was saying it's not payable. It's the controller you've had saying, once you have remitted this, you can't do it again. The challenge on my side was to sign off on an agreement. Senator and Sifuna, I want to assure you that someone will agree. And before I leave office, I can't clear this amount, but some chunk will be paid to both CPF and LAB fund. But what I'm saying is, because ideally, everybody is with one of the two, either LAB fund or CPF. If administrations were disciplined to remit timeously, then this situation should not obtain. That's all I'm saying.
Should therefore the deductions be done at the national level? Because you have a crisis here. You have 5 years of discipline, 5 years of alleged indiscipline. How do we ensure that this matter is sorted out? Because, and I think the controller is right, the money was released. It was diverted to some other purposes. You must find a way of funding that expenditure, perhaps even with interest. So going forward, are we seeing a situation where we are saying county governments have become so indisciplined that they must be supervised by the National Treasury on deductions?
Chair.
The response to that, Governor, just clarify whether that 25 months of non-remittance is for all the employees, including for the governor himself.
Chair, as I said, the Wajir case is probably, with respect to the pending bill situation, was the worst of all worlds. There are also other counties, governors who, when they came into office, inherited as little as 15 million shillings or 50 million shillings of pending bills. So whether we should change the law just because of a few bad situations, I think that's a matter for all of us, not only for me, because the architecture does not allow currently the setup of the PFM architecture a mechanism for national government to deduct money at source without first hitting the CRF.
Well, they did it with MES, you remember?
Right. At MES, it was a book entry in a sense. You know, they were like saying they allocated us X as conditional grant, but it wasn't really part of the equitable share in a sense. So it was like a donation. We've made a donation to you, and we're keeping it up in the air. Sort of, that was what it was, how I understood it. But there is no mechanism really for that to happen, for Treasury to decide we're not remitting a part of your equitable share. One thing that has now happened in the last, I think, 1 month, from April, which is a plus and a minus at the same time, is that the payroll is now being handled through IFMIS, right? The HRS, the Integrated Human Resource System, is now been integrated with, the module has been integrated with IFMIS. So salaries have to be paid through IFMIS just like everything else, individually to the employee. The downside of that is when, as Senator Sifuna says, there are delays in disbursements and releases, then the utilization of the soft banking arrangements that some counties use to pay salary becomes difficult because the banks can't be the ones paying the employees' money through IFMIS. IFMIS only accepts, it's only integrated to the county operational and development account. So it becomes more difficult actually to get banking help, right? So as to the question of how this is handled, I think, Chair, it's a question of the control environment. It's a question of also timely audits and timely oversight and timely action, I think. Because if we were to go the route of deducting that at the source, remember, even the pending bills that I'm being crucified about here have to do with money that has actually left the CRF account, has been released by the controller, but was misapplied, or there was an over-budgeting of expenditure above the budget. Because if there is no mechanism for county governments to be in deficit, county governments must stick to their budget. And if there are overshots because of a disaster or something, then that should be something that can be managed within the next budget or something like that. If a disaster happens or something. But it shouldn't be something that cannot be absorbed by the next regime. Because when you have 7 billion or 5 billion of pending bills and all the money was released and utilized, I think, Senator Mwarua, you also have to be a bit empathetic with me.
Well, and all these are offenses committed by the team that you lead. Honorable members, how do we get away out of this? Because all these are instances of poor financial management in counties. There's a specific case of Wajir, but it cuts across. Now, there has to be a solution. So Wajir, the first 5 years are doing the right thing. The second 5 years, they're doing the wrong thing. The next 5 years, they're doing the right thing. The next 5 years, you don't know what's going to happen. You've got employees. They are looking at the Senate and all these institutions to come up with a solution. I am not hearing a solution. I am hearing a detailed description of the problem.
I think for me, Chair, there should be certain consequences. I think where we are failing as a nation is the consequence part. How is it conscionable for you to preside over an administration that deducts money from employees, don't remit, then you tell us you also don't have a solution? Even criminal sanctions should follow such people. I mean, it's unconscionable. They come to our offices here, Chair, at KICC, and they are in bad shape. They come to cry in our offices, and we can't just say there's nothing to do. I think there should be criminal consequences for CEOs who do that you deduct money and you don't remit. And then the COB says they can't release twice. I mean, those are the conversations we should be having, Governor, at COG level, at the Senate level. And we're willing and ready to help. For as long as you don't see us enemies. We can sit and talk about these things. But for me, I think there should be some level of responsibility, criminal responsibility for people who are doing these things.
Senator Chirarke?
Maybe, Chair, I agree with the Nairobi Senator that if this money was released and the governor has described this in detail what happened and also the reluctance of COB, which we agree with, not to release money that had already should have been remedied, this was a pure theft. And I think, in my own opinion, certain consequences, including investigations and prosecution, and I'm happy, I don't know whether ESCC are here with us. I think anybody found culpable, then and now, because the Constitution under Article 2265 is very clear that you should be held accountable while or even after you leave office. So there is no expiry or reflection of criminal liability if somebody took the people's money, the staff of Wajir. And Governor, we cannot be sympathetic with you because you already received your gratuity in them. So sympathy will not be there today.
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying in simple, Governor, and we agree with you largely, is let anybody, including your staff who are here, who might have participated in this well-orchestrated criminal enterprise of stealing from the employees, they must be investigated and prosecuted. I think EACC is normally with us. They just pick it up so that as we pursue for a resolution on this matter, somebody in this country, Chair, we should punish the issue of corruption to be as rare as a snowball in hell, so that somebody cannot walk into a public office, steal, get away with it, go to Santorini, and enjoy their lives as if nothing is happening, Mr. Speaker. I know Senator Sifuna does not know where Santorini is, but I will share with him. It's one of the exotic places.
Okay, members, looking at the time, we just have 20 minutes, so let's be conscious. Senator Wambua.
So, Chair, on the same note, you know, Governor, the truth of the matter is the people of Wajir, especially those who are already retired, they are out of the payroll, definitely are expecting that because you are appearing today, there will be a solution or a way forward to their issues. It's easy to say it wasn't me. It's an easy thing to say, but you know, for that old man who worked tirelessly to make Wajir County what it is today, and they are at home now with nothing. And the only thing we can do here is to say their former governor did not remit their deductions for 25 months. They already know that. What hope, what exactly is it that your government is doing to ensure that those people, in a way, you reduce their suffering? It's first of all, you agree with me, it's criminal. It's really a very bad thing for a governor to deduct money from employees and not remit. It's a criminal act. So what exactly are you doing before the EACC comes for you or for whoever it is that they have to come for? What exactly are you doing about those people?
Chair, you know, I'm not an accountant, but is it not possible to know if some money came, like 200 million, a receipt from Treasury for paying salaries, plus gratuity and everything? If the salaries were paid at net and the remittances were not made, is it not possible to know where that money went to and who misappropriated? I think it's possible to know. Because then if you have received money this month and you've paid the employees and the money that is deducted, say 20 million, was not remitted, we should know where that money went to and the person who misappropriated that money. And number two, Chair, we should be able as an oversight body to direct the county to pay this money. First of all, any payable should serve as a first charge, as a priority charge on any receipt. Why can't we direct that this also happens for this money?
Yeah, Governor, I think you have seen the mood of the Senate, that these are issues that we want to engage on positively because they impact on the lives of the very people we rely on for service delivery. Having described the problem, what do you put as the action you're going to take individually as a governor of Wajir and broadly as the leader of the team of governors?
Chair, that it's a criminal offense. Everything we have discussed here with respect to pending bills is a criminal offense. Because not only for the statutory, I keep repeating, even for those classrooms that people are threatening to close, the money was released, not applied appropriately. And it's easy to blame the governors, but even the governor himself, his gratuity was not paid. So this is, and of course, the tone at the top and everything is important, but I think there were officers who were in these roles, in HR, in finance, in procurement, who ought to have known better. And all these reports are everywhere. They are with the Senate, they are with EACC, they are all over. I mean, there's nothing confidential about them. That's one. Two, so it's budget indiscipline, said Senator Wambua. It's budget indiscipline. You know, people are just issuing LSOs left, right, and center. They committed more than they budgeted for. Some were done, some weren't done. right? There are even some that were paid, which weren't done. All these is in all these reports, and as I've said, I've given copies of all these reports to Senate, to ESC, to everybody. What am I going to do? Yes, probably I accept you could have, agreed to something much earlier, but they gave us hope, the schemes, that they were willing to, because we are now compliant and we are among the better payers, timely payers, they were going to look at, interest and penalty waiver. So we'll fast track that process and start paying. We'll put something substantial for the coming year's budget, but also have an agreement that's legal that binds the next regime to also pay, number one. Number two, we're also making the effort that I've said, because it's not only us, it's many counties, and the damage is already done, and there's no mechanism for bailout for counties when things are messed up, to see whether Treasury can get into some Treasury bonds or something. I know this has happened before with respect to the sugar industry and people like that for government guaranteed debts, and then take a guarantee against the equitable share or something. So those are conversations I'm willing to have. But with respect to Wajir, all I can do is speed up agreement, see whether, because it's also, when this mess happened on the watch of everybody, Chair, it's not also fair to punish the current regime to pay 410 million in interest against a 47 million principal, and we also have to provide services, in all areas and meet current commitments. So it's a challenge, but I'll get an agreement, pay something substantial, and then commit the next regime. That's what I promised the Senate. Thank you.
Okay, Auditor General, please check in the 25-26 audit whether this problem is recurring. Because the governor said that the problem, he has fixed it, save for historical matters. So you'll give us an assurance that statutory deductions, be they pensions, KRA, SHA, NSSF, SACCOs, insurance premiums, etc. I think if this is a matter that recurs, then we should define it as a persistent material breach of the PFM. And we must call the National Treasury and ask the National Treasury why they should not invoke Article 225 on stoppage of funds, not just for Wajir, but for all counties. This is the true definition of persistent material breach of the law. Colleagues have talked about criminal sanctions, but restitution must also follow, because it's not enough to jail someone who stole your money and then you remain there looking poor. So I think we'll make those recommendations, but the critical thing is to ensure that this is not recurring. We have quite a number of matters to discuss, but time is limited. We had already gone through this report earlier. There are a few issues where we can take the written responses, but there are a few paint as a disturbing picture of the entity. For example, the Auditor General has queried excessive drivers in Wajir. And the Auditor General says you have 149 vehicles and 216 drivers. So I don't know whether they are drivers or turn boys. But when you look at that from a perspective of prudence, so actually there are two paragraphs. There's a paragraph on unserviceable motor vehicles and equipment. Says that 90 vehicles are grounded and unserviceable. Then when you go further in the report, issue number 19 on page 11 of the certificate, you've got a finding on excessive drivers. So these are the little leakages that will sink the ship. Governor, what's your comment? Just broadly speaking, without necessarily reading the response. 216 drivers for 149 vehicles, out of which 90 are grounded.
Chair, I think we cleared that with the auditor and we proved to them that the drivers much as could have been slightly fewer were necessary because we run ambulances. Just now we're getting 10 new ambulances. We got 10 new vehicles also, but we run ambulances, and because of our terrain and the referral system, because we're talking of a distance of 57,000 square kilometers, in which the sub-county hospitals sometimes can be, we have dispensaries, we have, and health centers, but to find a place where there's a doctor who can do surgery, they're quite apart. So these doctors work on, these drivers work on shift, and sometimes it's necessary to have more than one driver for ambulances, for water bowsers, because during the drought we run a 24-hour emergency. So we actually run 3 shifts to deliver water to the farthest points where the livestock will have moved to. So considering everything, we are not that off given the numbers that we need because of the ambulatory service system and the water bowsers and the emergency nature of our county operations.
You don't see a redundancy. You find it is justifiable because
Yes.
you have cited the health sector and maybe the water sector, but does that account for the full picture?
And also for the new fleet, because we are replacing our old fleet. We bought new vehicles. We're getting 10 new ambulances, and we already have, I think, 11 new vehicles. So taken together, Chair, because in certain instances you actually need 2 or 3 drivers for a vehicle, like the water bowsers. I think we're not that off, but we have frozen the employment of new drivers. In fact, there were more. So what we did at the beginning of this term, we pushed some of them to enforcement. We pushed some, the ones that could fit, into transfer them where they could be used. But it's not as bad as it looks given our emergency nature of operations.
So, Auditor General, you'll help us analyze the employee costs. You have reported it was at 37%, which is just about 2% above the threshold. But beyond the percentage, is it growing in absolute terms? Because the year here was 4.1 billion. Did it grow from prior year?
I think it reduced. Previously, it was 43.
It was 4.3.
43%.
It was at 43%.
Yes.
Sometimes that percentage is high because of a delay in disbursements. So what's the actual sum?
For the year in question, it reduced to that 7.
No. I'm saying percentages.
Yes.
Are sometimes the base is not complete.
Okay.
You might find that there was a delayed remittance, which was not reported in that year, and so the percentage looks different. They spent 4.1 billion in 2024-2025. Are you able to check how much they spent in prior year, in actual shillings, not percentage?
Maybe given time, I can check that.
Okay, you can interrogate that so that even when you are congratulating the governor for being at 37%, the percentage should not mask the actual growth in expenditure. Senator Murumu?
Yeah, I quite agree with you because if we are to reduce by, 5%, that is quite high. When maybe the contract of some particular kind of individual employees, the contract has not ended suddenly. It really should strike your mind why that percentage has reduced drastically by 5%. Sometimes it reduces because of increase in revenue. That is the shareable revenue. But is that what has happened here? We need just really to know.
Okay.
And then also, have you audited the other cadres of employees, or is it just drivers who are redundant? Because this is just redundancy. Wajir could be very rich. That in the year ending June 2025, you had already employed drivers for a fleet of vehicles that even up to now, 2026 June, has not arrived. Try to take redundancies also around other sectors.
Governor, maybe just as a question, maybe, I don't know whether you have the information, and it's a very quick one. At the time you are leaving office in 2017, what was a figure? What was a wage bill at the time? No, maybe just in a global amount.
The wage bill was around 210 million, I think, at that time.
A month.
Per month, yeah.
So that was 2 billion.
Yeah.
2.4, 2.5 billion.
Yeah.
And now it is 4 billion.
Yes.
What do you, and what percentage was it of your total revenues back then?
I think at that time we were doing well. We were almost doing 50-50 between development and recurrent. Yeah, almost
So,
50-50.
so it was much less than
Much
30,
less,
30%?
Probably wage bill was much less than even 30% because the whole recurrent was about 50% use of goods and everything.
So this growth, is it normal? If you look at it, assuming you're just looking at it from an accountant's perspective, shouldn't it be something to worry about?
Yes, I think it was both organic, but also a lot of what do you call top-heavy employment was done. Because the number of directors that I came back to was much higher than what I left, and but also organic in the sense that since then and now, the number of facilities and things like that have also changed. One of the contributors to this was the water company, which I know is being done under the investments committee. We actually tried to fire people from the water, reduce the numbers from as much as 500 something to 200 and how many? To 258 thereabout, and went through some strenuous court process and had to pay some of them some out of court settlement just to whatever. So, Chair, also when people get into the payroll, it's not that easy to remove, because also our labor courts are pretty much on the employee side. So for now, the new recruitments are largely on need basis and in the area of health and ECD.
Okay, you have already breached the 35. 5 years ago, you were below 30.
Yeah.
It means that there is a problem, whether it's organic or whether it's all those factors you have cited. Auditor General, you did a payroll audit for all the counties. I expect that in this financial year, where you are going to start your audit, that issue of HR needs to come up. On HR, we keep talking of ethnicity, persons with disability, 1/3 salary rule, which is neither here nor there. But a growth of from 2 billion to 4 billion in a span of 5 years, offering the same services, is questionable. So please query that. I think we can
And
deal with
Chair,
two things.
actually, I think let him do also a trend analysis, because we actually reduced. Much as we were recruiting some people for health, we also got rid of 106 people, health workers, who were on the payroll but not around. We chased away people with fake degrees and fake documents. So we reduced and used that space to try and recruit. Last year alone, I think we recruited 212 new nurses because of the new facilities. Now we've moved to a level 5. That new level 5 alone requires at least another 100 nurses for the new services. So it's both ways. But I want to assure you that on my watch, we will not recruit anyone we don't need. We will try to act with the 35%. We will not commit any procurement for which we have no money. And anything that we are unable to pay by the time we're leaving office, which was committed on our watch, we will tie the funds in the bank balance to the actual ongoing projects. As for the pending bills, we'll continue to chip in to the best of our ability through payment, and we'll find a solution for the statutory payables by paying what we can and committing the next government to an arrangement. I commit to that. So, Senator Sergei,
I think that's fair.
I think,
looking at the time,
Chair, maybe
Senator,
because it's tied
because
up
of the
to-
time, let's okay.
maybe on
in
the
1
own
minute.
source revenue, Governor, how much are you collecting? And what is your revenue potential?
last year we collected 355. up from 36 when we came in. The last year we came in, it was 36. How much? 329 is what we collected last year.
What is your revenue potential? According to CRA?
CRA puts that at about, I don't know how much? Is it 600, maybe even slightly more. But
Maybe, Chair, our fiscal analyst, is he here today? How much is the revenue potential? Just because it's tied up with the
I
issues.
can't remember
of-
the exact figure, but yeah. But,
Okay, you guys can check, but we've got the breakdown of the revenue performance. Out of 355 million, 258 came from hospitals. So largely it's driven by the hospital
That's
or
where I was headed.
the health sector. In the remaining 2 minutes, quick question. Your KIPES is worth 600 million,
Yes.
whereas all the KIPES are worth 500 million. What's the background to that?
no, it's not all the cabs that are worth 500 million. 500 million was the figure that was agreed that national government pays 250 and county pays 250. There are counties that actually have been able to commit to slightly lower than that, especially the ones around Nairobi. Ours, it was an open bid, and it's what people quoted. And because the cement comes from here, the stones come from Thika, so contractors it will cost us slightly more to construct than. I remember one of my colleagues, when he did the bid, his was, because he's a bit further from me, his was bidded at 800 something, and he said he can't afford it, he didn't do it. In my case, I felt that it was cheaper to do today because of construction inflation than to do it tomorrow. So that was the lowest bid at 603.
What's your percentage completion?
100% complete. We are working with trade. We've been promised some money for what do you call common user facility, but the cold rooms are working and everything is working. We're going out to tender to see what investors to come and use. It's 100% complete.
Okay, finally, what is the state of exchequer releases? I know that there was a query on exchequer release. It's really a national treasury problem,
Yes.
but you could paint the picture for us in terms of Wajir and maybe even for the rest of the counties, because we have 2 weeks to close of financial year.
Yeah.
We saw here another county that received 4.5 billion shillings on the 1st of July, and they had to spend it within a day. Now you imagine how complicated that would be to spend 4.5 billion within the 14-day window. So what's the status in Wajir and globally?
In Wajir and globally, Chair, released and by Treasury is up to April. So on 15th of June, I sent out a letter to CS Mbadi on the status of disbursement of county equitable share, and what's outstanding to be received is 35.2 billion for May and 33.2 billion for June, 68.475. And the purpose of the letter was to request his office to urgently disburse 68.475 owed to counties for the months of May and June, and also hope that the system doesn't shut immediately on 30th of June to allow what is on the platforms to be paid. And it's usually a ritual we usually have at the cut-off month to allow to be paid. But yes, everyone has received up to April, May and June, not yet. I am hoping that will be released this week here.
Senator Sifuna?
I mean next week.
Chair, because he has answered that question as chair of the COG, I also have one as COG chair. Governor, you have heard those trumpets outside. Have you heard the trumpets outside, Governor? You know, there's a,
Senator,
just now when we were in this meeting. Have you
oh, the
heard
trumpets.
any-
Oh, okay,
Yes.
the noises.
You know,
I
there's
didn't
a
know they're
surah-
trumpets, but
Yes, there's a surah in the Quran that talks about trumpets. And I think it says they'll be blown twice. The first one is for all of us to fall dead except the ones who Allah wills to remain. And the second one is for the resurrection.
Senator, you can take the shahada now that you know that.
Oh, just a minute. There's somewhere I'm going. Those trumpets, for us, we hear them every day. And they are from the Universal Health Coverage team. I would be remiss if I did not use this opportunity for you as a Council of Governor Chair to clear this controversy for us, because we feel bad that these workers are in the streets every day and blowing those trumpets that you heard. We have passed Dora, we have passed Kara, we have passed, I think, we have done the county government additional allocation. Governor, we have provided for money through the additional allocation for the absorption of these workers on permanent and pensionable. But they are here because they can hear some of your members saying that because this money is being channeled through the Additional Allocation Act, that they cannot absorb them on permanent and pensionable. I want you to tell us why this is not possible, because the money is there, it is assured, and it will be passed by successive senates every single year. Why can't you absorb these young people on permanent and pensionable, so that we all wait for only those two trumpets that we have referenced, Governor?
Okay, Senator.
Chair, can I add just one quick, small, I ride on Senator Sifuna's issue of UHC. It has been a problem. I think maybe a number of you are lucky. I have received 1,000+ messages on WhatsApp and SMSs. We have seen the president speaking to it in Kajiado. Governor, what was the agreement between the CS of Health and you as a COG? Because it looks like at the ping pong game, we saw your chair of finance and budget going on record that out of 8.9 billion, they are not absorbed to PNP. And these are UHC staff that served us in 2020 when even soldiers in barracks could not come out to fight COVID. Don't you think it is unfair? For 6 years, they have been on contract. And I think, Chair, just in conclusion, these are people who are experienced. You don't need to keep them on probation. They can run our health facilities. And we should avoid, our worry is through the chair is, we should not allow these people to be left hanging, because health is a devolved function as per the fourth schedule. So as a chair COG, and what is the position so that we can finish this thing once and for all for the betterment? I yield back.
Just to add one thing, and I don't know if that is what is happening in Wajir. In my county, these people have worked for 5 years. Now the contracts are over. Now, when my county government is employing, they don't absorb those. When there's new employment, those are left out. Is that the same situation in Wajir? And so when would they be absorbed?
Governor? And as you respond, the quorum bell is ringing in the House, so make it a brief one.
Chair, as we sit here this morning, I approved a letter, I wrote a letter rather to the CS for National Treasury, which probably should, for the CS for Health, Adendwale, which should hopefully reach him before the close of business today, about UHC. Because the agreement that we had was to keep these people in perpetuity. That allocation moves to bump up, increase the equitable share, so that it's there in the base of equitable share in perpetuity. And we're doing this, and actually that position also, we argued it at summit and agreed. So there's actually a summit decision to that effect. We even have letters from the minister to that effect, that please, going forward, we will increase, we will jointly fight for this money and increase as equitable share. The challenge governors have is that if we just go the conditional grant way, in the past there has been indiscipline by National Treasury in releasing conditional grants as approved. What is appropriated is not what have been disbursed, and there has been no mechanism to ensure that there's a follow-through. For equitable share, even where the year closed with some balances, it's been paid in July before we got into the releases for the next fiscal. And for last year, I think everything was released by 30th of June. So, Senator, what I'm saying is, counties don't want to get tied up to an arrangement which they're not sure the money will come year on year. And this has been the argument. And so we're seeing the credible premise that was made that equitable share will include a specific amount to entrench the pay for UHC has not been done. And the risk also is one of gratuity, because we want to cut off from the old arrangement, and then now these people are absorbed on a permanent basis, and that the ministry deals with the issues that might arise as a result of gratuity. The ministry still wants to do what it is doing, which is provide money for the next 1 year. And there's no assurance that that money will be there in perpetuity. So we have no problem employing these people on a permanent basis. We are on their side. All we're saying is the credible premises which has been made. And why do you say this? Because in the past, there were also agreements that we entered in with the Ministry of Health on CPS, which monies didn't come.
Yeah, but Governor, just before I leave chair, money is money. Yeah, money is money. The Senate has fought for an additional 13 billion, is it?
Yeah.
For this financial year. Why don't you use that one? And the Senate will still be there.
Yeah.
In fact, if we had gotten the 454 that we were promised, 450 we were promised by UDA, it would have been different. But unfortunately, Governor, money is money. If we have given you an extra 13 billion...
You should just say government.
The UDA
Order.
It's a broad-based government, isn't it so, Governor?
Yeah, because
Governor, it's a broad-based government.
no, and that does not negate.
Okay, let's stop defining government. Let's go back to the
But Chair, you are a
concept.
member of a broad-based government.
Chair, my support for broad-based government does not preclude my ability to disagree with them on certain things. So on this one, we've been given the money for 1 year, we'll keep them for 1 year. You want us to keep them in perpetuity?
You have not answered me on the 13 billion extra.
No, I think, honourable members, because of time, what the governor is struggling to explain simply brings us to the conclusion that we are treating our workers very badly. We have seen it with pensions, we have seen it with gratuities, we have seen it also with this particular matter on UHC staff. That's a very unfortunate conclusion to this session.
PNP.
No,
we have added 13 billion from 415 billion to 428 billion. Why do they use this 13 billion? Nandi is getting almost 300 million additional from last year. Why don't they do PNP?
Because this obsession of ring fencing and yet you can allocate budgets is a problem.
But
Senator Ambu, I know you have a statement, so make it short.
Yes, I want to go and make some statement on the floor. But you see, Chair, that conversation, Governor, needs to happen.
Yes.
And this is not idle talk. The counties, the 47 counties, have an additional 13 billion Kenya shillings. You need 8 billion for onboarding UHE staff on permanent and pensionable. You know, Chair, there's this challenge that we're having with our counties where other things are important, but employees, we are still fighting. Fighting for what? There is already money. Use that money now on board the UHC. And Chair, you are saying about some counties that have received an additional, I don't know what. Cherargei, your county has received additional amount of money. They also received an additional 371 million Kenya shillings as affirmative action money. The same money was received by Taveta. That is excluding the additional equitable share for this financial year. Surely, if people are serious about their employees, there is an opportunity to onboard those people and deal with the tea and mandazis later. I mean, that can happen later after you've onboarded your employees.
And Chair, as I had said, these people are needed. The nurses are needed. That's why you've indicated that you want to employ 200 nurses this financial year. Taita Taveta has been employing but ignoring the UHC staff. It is bad. Why don't you, within then Council of Governors, pass a policy that they should absorb the UHC staff first before any other employment?
In fact, members, our failure as a Senate is that we are not very robust when it comes to budget implementation review. The control of budget generates those reports. We must be in that space, not necessarily to do the budgets the way the county assemblies do, but implementation review.
A thought has come to me. Let me just dispense with it and then I leave. Why can't the COG, if you are serious, because I'm not very sure you are, if the COG is serious, why can they cause a tripartite between themselves, the Senate, and perhaps the controller of budget or the Treasury, and we deal with this matter of UHC once and for all? If they are serious about it, well, why can't we have that conversation and deal with it? Yes.
Okay, members,
The argument of the governor,
we are going to...
Just 1 minute, Chair. From your argument, Governor, you look like you are helpless because you can precipitate this crisis to ensure that these issues have been resolved. Because I thought by the time the summit that you engaged had resolved this matter, these 7,400 UHC should have been observed.
So, like in research, they usually say areas for further research. These are areas for further engagement. We will offend the rules of the House if we go beyond the time. And so we will pause at this point. The issues that have not been addressed, we'll consider whether the written responses are adequate or if there is need for another meeting. I'll allow the governor to make his closing remarks, and then the senators, if any, if there's need for closing remarks. Governor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I am ready for that tripartite discussion. It can be done even through the Health Committee of Senate, because, as I said, there was a credible promise that this will be factored in the equitable share for perpetuity. And as to the increase, every county is in its own situation. But it's a conversation we're willing to have. If the intention was to have this money in perpetuity, it shouldn't really be an issue to increase equitable share for this year and to ensure that it's a base for next year. But let's have that conversation. We have no problem with our staff, and we're the best for them. Chair, having said that, I think it was a fairly, it's a very good meeting. And on the issues with respect to the payables, we'll get back to the Senate with clarity. In spite of everything that we've said about whether money that has been released once can be released again, because as I want to make it on record that whatever we're talking about as historical all relates to money that has already been released by the controller. And as for the other items that we weren't able to cover, whatever other further information and explanations that you require, we are ready. On a last note, Chair, I just want to assure you that if we are a non-going concern, it's not because of what I'm doing, it's because of what have happened, and it wouldn't be a non-going concern, as my brother Serta Cherge always calls me, on my watch. That's on a light note. The Senator, you don't have to respond.
You know, the minute you mention Cherarge's name, he will demand a right of reply. So,
in fact,
Senator Cherarge, 1 minute to reply.
No, I didn't want to reply. It's Governor. I just wanted to exit. I don't know why he was mentioning me.
So now you have the mic, just 1 minute, and then
Yes,
I'll donate my time to Senator Nairobi for the closing remarks.
I hope not injection. So, Chair, maybe what I can say is that I request that we have a further meeting. Especially, I have seen in the previous financial year, there was the issue of project implementation status. The way the governor did supersonic finish on KIPES, I would have wished to look at other projects that the county is incurring. I think if the governor can settle that, and then, Governor, you should either apologize now or look for a way to apologize, because you mentioned some of us, and we don't want, some of us are going for bigger seats, and including Sifuna.
Senator Cherarge, you are forgetting that you're supposed to substantiate on a matter on the floor, and we need to go and support you. So,
I am either, even, or all of us who are believers, either as Muslims or Christians, there is a place for apology.
Yes.
So, Governor, find it in your heart to apologize so that it does not foment for long. I yield back, Chair.
And the reason I bring that is we had a conversation in the House
Yes.
that allegations were made in public
Yes.
and apologies were made in private.
Correct.
So the public record still stands.
Yes.
And that's why in our rules of procedure, we must ensure that if you have to substantiate something,
Yes.
it is substantiated in public
Correct.
so that it is also captured on the record. But that's beside the point. We are going to prosecute that on the floor this afternoon. Senator Nairobi.
Chair, I want to assure the governor that personally I'm not looking for an apology from you. Where I come from in the school of politics that I've gone through, I was told that you have to grow a thick skin. People will call you names. So you can apologize to Gerard Gay and the others, but leave me out. I want you to carry a message of hope to the Council of Governors that in less than 14 months, there's going to be an administration that cares about devolution. And the promises that were made to our boss, you know who I'm talking about, we will implement. Thank you.
Huyo ndiye Sifuna. The meeting is adjourned.
Okay, Chair, do I have a right of response to that one? Or?
No, the meeting is adjourned.